Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Winter Solstice Replenish Retreat. I'm going to let people find their way in and get my audio recording started, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So let me check on over to make sure that our chat is showing up and get my audio started and give people a chance to join in. I hold Monday Lives every week in our Goddess Magic Patreon Facebook group. And then about 8 times a year, I have these Replenish retreats in the Creative Spirit Circle Facebook group for the larger community. And so it's a little bit of a change of setting for people. So I want to give them a chance to come in. Hello, Michelle. Glad to see you. Hello, Taryn. Hello, Evelyn and Karen. Glad you found it. Hi, Maxine. Glad you're here too. And Christy, happy almost solstice, everybody. Welcome to Replenish, our winter solstice retreat. So I have audio going. I see that chat is showing up. So these are good things. And let's see. I got to answer somebody real quick. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Leanne. Glad to see you as well. And I promise we'll get started really soon. I just got to get all my ducks in a row. Okay, here we go. Thank you for the festive top. I'm also sporting my 90s era troll pin, my favorite. That one gets to accompany me throughout the winter season. I've had that since I was a little kid, and I love my little winter troll. So thank you for the compliment. I decided to be snowflake festive. So, okay, hello, Evelyn. Christy said thanks about the festive top. Hello, Bridget. And Saray, glad to see you all here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so today is our Winter Solstice Replenish Retreat. This is our final live gathering of 2024. And so I hope to give us a chance to drop into this cocoon of winter while also starting to consider stepping into the new year. So kind of both things are my intentions for today's gathering. Celebration of the winter solstice and also a gentle invitation into the new year. Hello, Jenny. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Candy. Glad to see you here. Okay, it doesn't look like the live is actually showing up in the Facebook group itself, which is too bad when that happens. It's just one of those things, but at least I can see chat. So I'll take the blessings that I can receive when I can receive them. Hello, Susan, glad to see you. Jenny, okay. Oh, so here we are, celebrating the solstice of the new year. I think this is the 6th Replenish retreat we've done this year. So they were started, inspired by my little book, Replenish. And then I had a lot of fun doing them with on this seasonal theme. So I kept going, and I'm planning to continue to do some into 2025 as well. Hello, Karen, glad you found us. It's a little challenging. I'm trying to simultaneously repost the link and talk to people at the same time. This is when I need like one of those helpful little assistants. A lot of times Teal helps me out with the assistant stuff just as a kind helper who sees that I need some link sharing help. So I appreciate it when people drop the link if somebody has a question, because it's hard for me to type on a computer and talk in a phone at the same time. So, okay. So now for real, we're getting started. So deep breath. Let yourself settle into your body, into this time, in this place, with these people, where you are right now. And maybe letting your attention wander out to your own landscape and what it holds. Today is actually sunny and warm here, which is a little at odds with the solstice mood. But the trees are bare and gray, and the field is brown and gold. And my bird feeder is covered with little chickadees and tufted titmice and juncos. So the land is definitely saying winter right here, right now. So let yourself center yourself, presence yourself into your own landscape where you are right now. And then our little invocation, I have these little companion cards. These are available on the Replenish Retreat homepage. If you didn't print them out, that's totally fine. You can print them out some other time or never, whatever works for you. But they are available on the Replenish Retreat homepage. I'll make sure to redrop the link along with the replay. This is our invocation into our Winter Solstice Replenish Retreat. May we be brave enough to lay aside doing and pick up slowness. May we remember that the nourishing darkness and replenishing silence can hold the seeds of our dreams and the embers of our hopes. May we know that being still, letting things lie fallow, and retreating into life are as essential, or retreating into rest, are as essential to life as light and blooming. May we trust the quiet shadows and patient dark as the crucible of eternal changes, the reasons for the season. And I have a quote that I really like about that, about the dark stillness. These are the reasons for the season. And I think that's a helpful thing to remember. Okay. Oh, good. Amanda's made it as well. Hello, Amanda. Glad to see you. And now I'd like to go ahead and share, I'd like to share at least one offering from the Replenish book. And I chose the one from day 17. So we really on day, I'm actually on day 16 in the book, but I'm going to go with day 17 because it felt like an appropriate invitation to a communal practice. Let us build space for ourselves and the sacred at the center of our own lives. Here we nourish wholeness. Here we deepen into trust. Here we reclaim power. Here we live our magic. Here we make a space for ourselves to be nourished, replenished, and restored in each and every day. Our lives in sync with the sacred. Our lives in sync with the sacred. It's helpful to remember that like the sacred's always there. We just have to step into it. We just have to see what's right there. And the sacred is always there. And we can sync up our lives with that sense of the sacred. And we get lost again and again and again. We get pulled off track again and again and again. But as always, we're always invited to return. We're always invited to come back home. Okay, so I also wanted to, speaking of Crucible of Changes, and okay, Colleen's here too. Glad to see that. Glad to see you made it, Colleen. And so I'd like to go ahead and offer another little reminder about the Crucible of Change. This one's from my solstice cards that were a gift for the Goddess Magic patrons. And so this is a reminder about that mood of winter, the invitations of winter. I do think the season asks certain things of us, culture asks things of us, society asks things of us, families ask things of us, our own hearts ask things of us, but the season asks things of us too. The season invites us into certain moods and feelings and opportunities, and I feel like this little poem invocation kind of sums that up. And this is really from right now, from this, from the winter solstice, really on through Imbolc, but definitely in this liminal space between the winter solstice and New Year's Day for sure. This is the crucible of change. Here we are in this liminal space in which old chapters close and things are laid aside, set down, put to rest. We exhale into the stillness, into the waiting time between times. So too, we may feel newness and promise coiled and pulsing, sometimes whispering, sometimes shouting, sometimes singing of the new and beautiful, the exciting and inspiring. May we have the courage to sit between these two calls, that the singing and the shouting of the new and the invitation into newness, and then also the stillness and the waiting time. May we have the courage to sit between these two calls, listening. May we allow ourselves to settle for a spell right here between the tight and tender. May we know both brave action and brave stillness as we allow the old and the new to steep together in peace and trust inside the crucible of change. So here we are in this liminal space, this waiting place, in this crucible of change. And here is when we let the old and the new steep together in peace and trust. And I mentioned a couple of videos ago that I have my little bag that I keep things in, and I have my set of goddess cards for 2024 and my set of goddess cards for 2025 in there. And I feel like they're steeping in this crucible of change, the old and the new, holding hands, waiting together, steeping together to become something new. And so that is another piece of the puzzle, so to speak, of winter, the invitations and the opportunities of winter. Okay, so taking another deep breath, returning to yourself, and letting yourself consider what is steeping within you, the old and the new together. What's steeping within you? And then that brings me to our first little quote and question card. So I make these little quote and question cards for our Goddess Magic community as well. And this is the one for winter. This is based on the book, The Seasonal Soul by Lauren Aletta. And I read this quote, I think it was about 2 years ago. And I've used it several times since then because it just really says something. It really encapsulates something about winter to me. And so it's this: you gently nod, then nod some more. Once you realize that indeed the unknown that starts in autumn and leads you into the winter woods is the life giver of your next soul dreams. The life giver of your next soul dreams. So you let yourself go down, down, down with the sinking sun. For summer is done and the moon is ready to shine. It's time to let yourself come undone. So I love that notion that autumn leads you into the winter woods, and that call of the unknown that leads you into the winter woods is the life giver of your next soul dreams. So the darkness and the quiet and the stillness and the urge that your own body feels to rest and wait and enter the cave, that's the life giver of your next soul's dreams. That's the life giver of your next soul dreams. That what your soul is dreaming of, ooh, it's being given life right now in this crucible of change, in this dark, quiet space of replenishment. So I just love that. I just love that quote. It's so evocative to me of down, 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 and the life giver of your next soul dreams. So, oh good, Anna Maria, you found it too. I apologize about the little bit of confusion about where we are. It can be, I'm brainstorming possibilities for next year as far as making these easier for people to track where we are and what's happening. So the journal question that goes with that quote is, what is coming into being for me? What is coming into being for me? What are your next soul dreams? You might not know what they are right now. They just start to whisper, and they need space to be heard. They need space to be heard. So I feel them. I know I've talked a lot. You know, I love me some cauldron, love me some crossroads, love me some cave time. And in the cauldron in August, it all starts to whisper. You know, I sense my word of the year. I start thinking about this year I made the new, at that time is when I made the new Goddess Wheel of the Year. I started thinking about the new book, the new Year of Goddess Magic book. It all starts to like kind of bubble and brew, and it feels like such this potent, like creative time. And but it needs space to listen. And so now in the winter in the cave, I can listen more clearly to the longing that started to call in August, but now is when I listen. And so anyway, what's coming into being for me? What are my next soul's dreams? They do not have to be, this is not the time to, ink them in permanent marker. This is the time to let them, to play with them, to let them dance with you, to let them whisper to you in the dream time. Not, not hard and fast promises, but whispers of connection and inspiration and longing. And then the affirmation is, I listen to my soul dreams. And I would add, so that wasn't on the card, but I would say, I grant myself space to listen. I grant myself space to listen. Feels good, right? Oh, thank you, Dawn. Inspired to take a seat at the steeping table. And that is true. I find it so powerful that even if it's only a few minutes, you're like, I'm still stepping into the cave for this few minutes. I'm still making time to steep for this few minutes. It can be powerfully healing and restorative, even for just a few minutes. And if there's one thing that I could tell anybody about daily practice, about 30 Days of Goddess, about walking a goddess-centered path, it's like a little bit is life-changing. A little bit will take you far. A little bit will heal you, will nourish you, replenish you. Just a little bit will go really far into helping you and deepening your sense of the sacred, your sense of connection, your sense of trust. All those things will be deepened in just a little bit, just a little bit. And big bits are nice too, but little bits are really nourishing. Okay. Hi, Anita. Glad you're here too. Okay. So now, moving on, we have a couple of little cards. This is the last live for 2024, and so I have a couple of quote and question journal type cards because that was fun. this is like a multi week pondering opportunity. And so this one comes from Glynis Livingstone, who actually lives in, I believe she lives in Australia, so she's really good about writing. So if you are a Southern Hemisphere person, she's really good to follow for Southern Hemisphere kind of information, and I feel like that's really helpful. But anyway, this is her quote. This is a quote about the winter solstice from her, though, but she's the author of Pagayan Cosmology, which is a really good book. And so she says, oh, I just noticed my journal question is the same on both cards. Haha, it's not always, I don't always have it all figured out. I repeated myself with double journal cards. But here's the quote. The coming into being that winter solstice and early spring celebrates is an awesome thing. It takes courage and daring. Our times require the melting down of so much that no longer works. Our times require the melting down of so much that no longer works, that will not carry us through. These times require the reshaping and speaking of new realities, the wisdom that in fact brings us all into being. We may respond to the gift of being by receiving it graciously and thus become responsible. Though we may feel inadequate, we are not, and we need to begin. So that coming into being is an awesome thing that takes courage and daring. And I really think being willing to explore and being willing to grant yourself those slices of the sacred that we keep talking about, being willing to grant yourself time to listen to your own wisdom. Those are powerful and radical acts, and they take courage and daring to go ahead and say, this slice, it's for me, and I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to those soul dreams. I'm going to give myself what I crave, and that is good. So, journal question again. What's coming into being for me? I must have meant to put a different one on this, and then I didn't. Oops. What's coming into being? It's a good question. What's coming into being? And then the affirmations from this card are, I am courageous and daring, and I know what I need. I am courageous and daring, and I know what I need. Okay, and I see Jean has made it in too. Glad to see you, Jean. And Karen, yes, giving myself permission to do only a little bit when pressed for time makes it so much easier to be consistent. And that's what I remind myself of. I'm like, I only said I was going to write something every day. I did not say I was going to write 15 pages. I did not say I was going to write Shimmering Works of Staggering Genius. I said I was going to write something. And so if I have 10 minutes, if I have 15 minutes, I'm going to keep my promise because I don't actually need that much. And even just sitting outside for a few minutes and watching the woodpeckers on the trees, I love watching woodpeckers at this time of year. Even that is enough to be restored in that small way. So that is good. So what is coming into being with me? Let that percolate within you. That doesn't have to be a question that you answer like right this second. Let yourself marinate with that. Let yourself think about that one. What's coming into being with me? Oh yes, Troll Pin, being admired. Anna Maria, this is my little troll, and I love it so much. It's got little elf shoes. Has been my friend since I was since about 1991, I think. And I wear it every year. So I put him on especially for you today. Okay. And then let's go ahead and as long as we're continuing with our card power, actually we'll take a little break from cards, and I'm going to go ahead and read our 365 Days of Goddess poem for today too, and then we'll go back to cards. I don't want to overdo the quotes and questions. Oh good, Teal made it. Glad to see you, Teal. Okay, so here is a nice blessing from 365 Days of Goddess for today, and oops, I dropped my card. We got new cards. Some of you will be seeing these soon. We got new business cards with the affirmations on them, or the little prayers on them that make them an addition to the 30 Days of Goddess practice deck. And I was so thrilled about it. And then they came, and we obviously had a problem with our perception of color on our screen. You know how screens can sometimes show you different colors. And so unfortunately, some of them are really, really dark. And like, do you see this? They're just a little too dark. So that's kind of disappointing. Anyway, mentioning it now because they were in my book and they fell out when I went to get my reading for today. So you will be seeing those at some point with orders in the future. But I was so thrilled about them. We hurried to get them done. And then several of them are they're just really dark. And that's a little sad for me because we tried so hard. Okay, so here we go with This is a nice invocation for the crone of winter, for this winter's queen that I invoke and feel so strongly at this time of year. Crone of winter, may we honor your pause. May we trust in your unfolding cycle of change and renewal. May we quiet ourselves in your embrace and replenish our spirits as we trust your timing and your teaching. May we warm ourselves by the fire of patience and discovery. May we not fear drawing inward, sitting in silence and incubating dreams. May we know this time of stillness as essential to life. May we know this time of stillness as essential to life. That reminds me that I saw these wonderful wild turkeys this morning in the field, and they're out there because the field's gone to seed now, and so they're picking around in the grains and stuff, and they were so pretty and so amazing and so huge. One of them was just the gobbler. He had this big old beard, and he was practically as tall as a deer. He was so huge, and that's the thing. The land needs this time of stillness in order to be replenished. Like the turkeys wouldn't be here without those grasses in the field going to seed, and then they look for something to eat. And so we all need these times of stillness, these times of rest in order to change, So that was a good reminder for me too. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you, Teal. Happy New Year and happy solstice. Glad you popped in for a minute. We have missed you today. You're usually very helpful in the chat, and I appreciate you. So happy solstice. Thanks for being here. Okay. Yeah, Anita, there was about eight of them in the field, and then they were walking around like behind our cars and stuff. They're so fun to see. I like to find their feathers, but seeing them in person, they're really big. They're kind of surprisingly huge when you see them in person. So, okay. So now after that reading, I have another question or something to think about, which is taking care of yourself. We've talked about this in a couple more of the other Replenish retreats, is taking care of yourself in sync with the seasons. So what your body, mind, and spirit need from you in different seasons, it's different. And so may you take care of yourself in sync with the season. May you listen to what this season asks of you. And the season can be kind of a metaphorical season, like maybe you're in a caregiving season. Maybe Dawn had mentioned it's a busy season, we're in this really energetic kind of time of the year in terms of producing and giving and things like that. And so sometimes it's a season of your life. I encourage you to look at the season as present in the landscape. What is that season asking of you? And see, just like we were talking about the old and the new, kind of holding hands and steeping together, maybe the season and the energy, even if it's not totally in sync, maybe they can find a way to hold hands. So thinking about what the landscape teaches you and thinking about taking care of yourself in sync with the season. And then inviting you to consider that question of like, how are you descending? How are you steeping in that wisdom, in those soul dreams? And how are you returning? How are you planning your own homecoming? Okay. Sorry, I had a little something stuck in my tooth. That's the problem with being live sometimes, a little something stuck in your tooth. Okay, so thinking about that, the old and the new, again, holding hands, that brings me to my next little green card, my next little questions card, and that is this is like our new year. We're talking about the solstice, and this is kind of a New Year's invitation or a New Year journal questions, thoughts to consider. And this has been a favorite quote of mine for probably, I don't know, maybe like 8 years or so. I use this one every winter solstice to New Year's Day. Like I think about this one over and over. So it's from Alan Kay, and it's probably familiar to you because I've used it a lot, but it's this. Beginnings and endings are so very sacred. To give honor to all that has transpired, every experience, every joy, every pain is a doorway to the magical. Every experience, every joy, and every pain is a doorway to the magical. Hold your entire year. So if you can do this in more depth when I've stopped talking, you can do this in more depth. But even just right now, give yourself a second to hold your year in your hands. Like hold your year. You can let your mind wander back through last January, February, March, letting your mind kind of wander through those months and thinking about what all the months have held. And hold that year in your hands. Hold that year in your hands. Every day, every thought, every breath. And now bless it. Bless it with gratitude, love, and humility. And you have done more to transform this new year than 1,000 resolutions. Isn't that a great quote? Like, you hold your year. Every thought, every breath, every lesson, every joy, every pain, hold it in your hands. Hold it in your hands and bless it with gratitude, love, and humility. And you have done more to transform your new year than 1,000 resolutions. So sometimes I do this longer meditation where I imagine the year and I walk myself through it, and I imagine them turning like into these sparkles of light in my fingers and drifting away. And there's an honor there and also a letting go, honored and letting go. So journal question that accompanies this is, what is beginning and what is ending? And then your affirmation, I bless with gratitude what this year has held. I bless with gratitude what this year has held. And it has held a lot, hasn't it? It has held a lot. Oh boy, has it ever. Okay. So, if you want to do that in more depth, I think I have a guided winter spiral meditation on my Patreon that's a longer walk through the year and letting it dissolve into sparkles of light. So I'll try to remember to link to that with the replay, because it's a powerful process to go through. And so let's see. So we're going to go ahead. We're almost to the end of our time together already. It does go really fast. And so I'd love to close with the little blue card, this other little blue card. And this is kind of a closing prayer, a closing blessing, a closing invitation. I keep using the word invitation lately, but I feel like being invited is liberating. You know, if we think of the things we'd like to invite, to me that there's a liberation there and an expansiveness there, instead of thinking, and intention's a good word too, and vows are good and promises are good and all kinds of things are good, but I just love invitations. Like, there's just an invitation. It doesn't have the sense of obligation or weight. It's like, it's expansive, it's liberating. So here is an invitation as we close out our winter solstice time together. Sit now in this cocoon of stillness as the wheel continues to turn, one year taking its last breaths and preparing to pass the flame on to something new. There are birth pangs in the air, something preparing for first breaths and germinating new seeds of promise. Allow yourself to become one with what is now, your bones, bare gray branches, your breath, cool wind, your thoughts quiet and shrouded like a winter sky, your ideas and plans stripped back and hushed, anything extra fallen away. Breathe out and settle. Breathe in and expand. Dig deep and feel the roots. Sense what it means to curl up and wait for change, your soft, warm belly still holding the flare of courage and the embers of passion that will light your way into something new. For now, though, dear one, just wait and be. Here, this is your life, waiting for you to pay attention to it. This is your life, waiting for you to pay attention to it. So thank you so much for being here today and for making space to pay attention to your own life, to step into to rhythm with the sacred, to honor your own magic and embody your own power, to listen to the land and to accept the many invitations around you, to replenish, to return, and to reclaim. So we're already done for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing space with me. The printable cards that have the quotes on them, I saw Hecate Doe had asked about that. The printable cards with the quotes and questions are on the Replenish homepage, so I'll drop the link to that, as well as a link to my past winter spiral meditation. I'm not sure if that was a paid or a non-paid thing, but I'll open it up to everybody since I talked about it and repost the link to that. So thank you for being here. Happy solstice, happy new year. I look forward to sharing space with you in the year to come. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Anna Maria. Thank you, Anita, Tammy, Karen, both Karens, Amanda, Dawn, Taryn. Oh, Taryn, I didn't see you here before. Taryn, Leanne, Hecate. Yes, thank you so much all for joining me. And may you, oh, Evelyn, Michelle, Saray. Thank you, everybody. Dawn, Jenny, okay, Amanda, okay, we got you. I think I got to read. Colleen, so good to see you all. Happy solstice, happy new year. Thank you, Maxine. Happy solstice, happy new year. Feel free to join us in the Goddess Magic community. We do weekly practices lives like this every week, so you can come on over to Patreon and join us there. And most of you are already there, but thanks. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Christy. And may you take some time to replenish in this cocoon of stillness. Happy winter. Bye-bye. Keep living your magic.